I'm Terry Sacka, and this is Rigged Against You. Today we're going to discuss China, Japan, the stock market dumping, and real big twist on what the U.S. can do for delisting China. They're also dumping U.S. Treasuries at an astronomical rate. This is heating up, and wait until you see this, but this is a good one because this is what is going to really give you the foretell of how deep our stock market correction can go, why gold and silver are going to be rising so rapidly because the Great Reset is upon us. So before I get going, please consider subscribing, hit the bell for notification. I don't do too many podcasts, but when I do, this will come in your email and you'll be able to get the information. But the trade war is heating up. China is holding ground. They are not giving up. There's a $1 trillion trade deficit between the United States and China. And the Chinese, they really want to, because it's a lot of money, sell into the United States. But Trump is making it clear we're going to have fair trade. Now, the consequences to this battle, which we must have, by the way, Trump has no choice. As I said in the last podcast, in order to fix it, you have to break it. And that's why the Great Reset is upon us. We are going to break the current financial system as we know it, why cryptos are going to play a really big role moving forward, and why gold is continuing to rise $100 a day. It is unbelievable. But if you knew behind the scenes who was buying, central banks, sovereign wealth funds, high net worth, retail, you better catch up. We, the people, the stockholders, better catch up and start realizing how valuable gold and silver is to hold in your IRA. But when it comes to the trade war and what's going on, look at this as far as the Chinese and their trade. You can see here in the upper left, the U.S., the blue line is the exports and the red line are the imports. China does not import to the U.S. They're exporting, and that 600 figure is now $1 trillion. It actually goes way up to the right. But look at all the others in the West. If you notice, imports into China, almost non-existent, maybe from Vietnam, a little from Thailand. But the West, they don't import. China is exporting, a really big deal. The U.S., now here's where this gets interesting. Look at the stocks and how the Chinese stocks that actually list more in the New York than they do Hong Kong, like Alibaba. Look at the black line. Look at the black line just going down. These are just some of the top Chinese companies. They're mainly involved in U.S. stock market. Now, why that's important is because wait until you see at the end of this podcast why this is going to be a big deal. We have some tricks up our sleeve on how we're going to play this. China really does need the United States in certain aspects on the financial side. So they're going to play hardball. They're not just going to give up. They can dump our U.S. Treasuries as they are. They could even depeg from the dollar. But this stock market, this is a little twist, and they're not telling you. But China is continuing to dump U.S. Treasuries. This is a really big deal because the U.S. Treasuries are the debt we hold. And we have to reissue over the next few years $28 trillion in bonds. Who's going to buy them? They're dumping them. They're selling them. They're not buying them anymore. This is huge. And this is part of what China is doing. And Trump made it clear if China were to really dump all the U.S. Treasuries, that is an act of war. This is how heated it is getting. This is why China has to take this serious. If the U.S. 30-year Treasury, look at the trend line. China will absolutely be in a panic when these T-bonds collapse below this trend line. They will start losing an extraordinary amount of money. They're sitting on roughly, just under $1 trillion here, as you can see in U.S. Treasuries. It's come down substantially, though. If you notice, they've sold off about $300 billion in U.S. Treasuries already. Problem is they still hold just under $1 trillion in U.S. Treasuries. And if we go here below that trend line, China's going to be in a panic because as the yields rise, the prices fall on those treasuries. And that is a major hundreds of billions of dollar loss for China. So they're going to continue to dump these treasuries. And if you look at U.S. Treasury major foreign holders, look at the shift that's taken place. At the top here, it's Hong Kong. And then we come down, China is near the bottom, Japan. Those are the two right now dumping treasuries and uniquely buying gold. But look at the very bottom of who owns U.S. treasuries. Take a look at this. That's right. Oh, you can't see it. The Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is owning the U.S. treasuries. They don't even have any money. It's all about the U.S. Treasury printing. The Federal Reserve is a private bank. They're not federal. It's actually a private bank that pays interest to global bankers. There is so much behind the scenes if you understood the great taking, how these big banks will take your assets if there's a systemic collapse. But the fact that the U.S. Federal Reserve owns the majority of U.S. treasuries, that's basically AKA money printing. They have to print U.S. dollars in order to then buy the debt. Makes no sense, right? We're printing a dollar to then turn around and buy the debt on the dollar we just printed. I know it sounds confusing. That's a problem. That's when a nation is in decline, and why behind the scenes it is so vital that Trump makes the moves he's doing. We must break the system in order to fix it. If we have to refinance $28 trillion in bonds over the next few years, where's the Federal Reserve going to get that money? They won't. They're going to have to print it. We're talking about a liquidity rush like you wouldn't believe. And that liquidity push will be printing currency. As we print the currency, it will cause inflation. Your dollar won't be. We will have a much lower dollar value for sure. But that dollar won't buy the same, and why gold and silver, especially silver, will be so valuable, because it's not just about the money you're making in returns on gold and silver. It's about the fact that you're able to still buy the same without the effect of inflation. And for those that are sitting in cash, you're losing every day and every year that it sits in the bank. Better be in silver in a vault than cash in a bank. You just are, especially over the next couple years. If you don't make this shift, you will regret it. I know I was talking with a lady who said she had $400,000 and she's just leaving it in the savings account. I mean, do you realize you've lost $100,000 because of inflation over the last 3 years because of buying power? They don't get it. For some reason, the dots are not connecting. Instead, if she would have bought silver when we told her to, that 400 would already be worth about 750,000. This is a once in a lifetime shift. We're going through like a fourth turning, which is a little deeper, but this is a big shift. We're going into a new financial system. So when I say the Great Reset is upon us, it is happening now. That's why gold is running up $100 a day. And with that gold silver ratio over 100, wait until that breaks down and heads towards 30. You will see silver in 3 figures before you know it. Those that do not heed this type of wisdom will find they will have, like this lady, she'll have maybe $275,000 in retirement because the inflation will eat away that 400 she thinks she has in the savings account. Where if she would have bought silver, it would probably be worth well over $1 million to $1.5 million. That is a dramatic difference in retirement. But you have to be willing to understand the dynamics of real money. Real money is a storage of value over time, gold and silver going up. Currency you're holding, currency in the bank is losing value because of inflation. And we just so happen to be at the end of this financial cycle. So we're even finding, as I mentioned, Japan are dumping our treasuries as well. They have already bought about $200 billion in gold with those U.S. treasuries. And this is one of the major U.S. treasury holders next to China and the Federal Reserve. And that's our number one ally. That ought to tell you something. To kind of give you a little hint, remember I showed you about the stock market and how to Chinese stocks? This is one trick we have up our sleeve. And Charles Gasparino said it the best. The Trump administration is moving toward a possible delisting. Now, this is huge, folks. Delisting of Chinese public companies' shares on the U.S. exchanges. Incoming SEC Chair Paul Atkins likely to take up delisting issue when he officially takes office. Delisting the Chinese stocks from the U.S. stock market possibility comes amid a trade war with China and the growing GOP congressional appetite to delist these Chinese companies. U.S. law allows delisting if Chinese companies do not allow inspection of the books and ties to the Chinese government. We know they do. Lawmakers are particularly concerned about so-called golden shares that grant the Chinese government total control of these listed companies. Now, this is a big reason why you're seeing this come to a head, because if we delist, China needs to have those stocks on our market. We're helping provide liquidity. But this is how serious this trade war is. We have some pretty big guns to play, and Trump knows it. So before this gets better, unless China just falls to the knees and gives in, which they don't seem to be doing, we're looking at some heat. And Trump warned us, they all did, say we're going to go through some pain before this is over. This is the real deal. The world is definitely moving into gold. As you see now, gold 3,400 and rising. That is nothing compared to where it's going. It will move towards 5,000 and then above. You will see, because this is not going to stop anytime soon. The U.S. does have two powerful cards: the ADR delisting and U.S. investment ban. According to Jefferies analyst Edison Lee, the U.S. reciprocal tariffs are not just about trade, but more about competition between the U.S. and China and making sure the United States wins. And if we become crypto capital of the world and we back stablecoins up with U.S. Treasuries, you could see potentially trillions upon trillions come into the U.S. government. Trump knows what he's doing. We need to get these people standing in his way out of the way, because if we do it right, the golden age of America is definitely in front of us. But before that happens, we are going to see some serious fire, and why gold and silver will be so valuable to be holding during this time and season. You can't go wrong. So until next time, God bless you.
With all of the recent changes in the political and financial markets, there has never been a better time than right now to invest in silver and gold. When governments simply print billions of dollars in paper money in hopes of solving financial shortfalls, you know that it is time to buy and hold assets of true and lasting value. Free information is available to you right now by calling 888-747-3309. Whether you are a new investor or you're interested in preserving the value of your retirement accounts, we make it easy for you to make smart decisions for your financial future. The specialists at Cornerstone are here to serve you, work to satisfy your retirement goals, and communicate with respect. Call us right now at 888-747-3309. That's 888-747-3309. Or visit us online at cornerstoneassetmetals.com. That's cornerstoneassetmetals.com.